Okay. So have you ever, like, waited for something super important? Something life-changing?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Well, imagine waiting, I don't know, 40 days for your leader to come back from a meeting with God.
Oh, wow. That's a long wait.
That's what's happening in Exodus 32
Eh.
with the Israelites. They're waiting for Moses.
To come back with the Ten Commandments, right?
Exactly, with the Ten Commandments.
Yeah.
But while he's gone, things don't go so well. So that's what we're looking at today. We're doing a deep dive into Exodus 32. We'll see what happens when, patience wears thin and what we can learn about sticking to our values, even when things are tough.
It's a classic story about how people, even with the best intentions, can really falter under pressure.
Yeah.
And the Israelites were under a lot of pressure.
Oh, for sure. They just escaped from Egypt after centuries of slavery.
Right.
And now they're in the wilderness. And the future is totally uncertain. I can only imagine how anxious they must have been.
Yeah, absolutely. So Moses is up on Mount Sinai, getting the Ten Commandments, those instructions for how to live a good life. But down below, the people are getting restless.
Yeah.
And they turn to Aaron, Moses' brother, who's kind of left in charge.
Right.
And they demand something tangible, something they can see, something they can touch to represent God.
Okay, so this is where the golden calf comes in. Right?
Exactly.
But it's not just about making a statue. It's about what the statue represents.
Exactly. They build this golden calf.
Hmm.
And they're like, this is our God. And then they have this huge party.
Oh, wow.
It's crazy.
So they completely disregard the commandments. Like, as soon as they get them, they break them.
Well, yeah. Especially that whole don't make idols thing.
It's like they skipped right over that one.
Yeah.
It's like they said,
Yeah.
We want the promised land, but we want it now.
Instant gratification. It's a problem, even back then.
Yeah. But then Moses comes back down.
Uh-oh.
But he wasn't too happy.
No, he was not happy. He sees the golden calf, the party, the whole thing, and he just loses it. Smashes those tablets of the law.
Whoa!
It's a big dramatic gesture, confronts Aaron and the people about what they did.
I mean, talk about a party foul. What about God?
God was not pleased. Not pleased at all.
Yeah.
I mean, this is breaking the covenant they just made.
So what happened?
God's ready to wipe them out, start over with just Moses.
Wow. So their impatience had some pretty serious consequences.
Definitely. But then Moses steps in.
Okay.
He pleads with God to spare the people, reminds God of the covenant with Abraham, Isaac, Jacob,
Right.
really puts it all on the line.
So does God listen?
God shows mercy, decides not to destroy them.
Okay.
But there are still consequences. Justice demands accountability.
It's not a get-out-of-jail-free card, so what happens?
Well, the people get hit with a plague.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. A reminder that actions have consequences, even with forgiveness.
It's like this whole story is about more than just the Israelites, isn't it?
It is. It's about human nature, about leadership, about justice and mercy. It's a story that still speaks to us today.
Thousands of years later.
Exactly. And that's why it's so powerful and so relevant. It gets to the core of who we are, our flaws, our potential, all of it. It's kind of easy to look back and judge the Israelites for being so impatient.
Right.
But haven't we all been there, wanting things right away, that urge for instant gratification?
Oh, yeah, totally. Think about how we are now. Always scrolling, always online, expecting everything to be fast, like right now.
Exactly. It's like we have a microwave mentality, and that can really mess with our judgment.
It did for the Israelites, that's for sure. They were so focused on the wilderness, the uncertainty, that they forgot about the bigger picture.
Oh, the promised land. It was right there almost, but they couldn't wait. It's like so focused on the bumps in the road, you forget where you're going.
That's a good way to put it.
So that's takeaway number one, right? Patience and focus. Resisting those quick fixes.
Wow.
Staying committed to the long game.
Yeah, like building a house. Can't skip the foundation just because you want to see the walls up.
Exactly. And speaking of foundations, what about Aaron? He was supposed to be the leader while Moses was gone,
Right?
but he totally crumbled under pressure.
You can almost feel for him, can't you? He knows it's wrong,
Yeah.
but he gives in. Like the people's fear just overwhelmed him.
Yeah, and that's what we can learn from that, about leadership. True leadership isn't just about being in charge. It's about doing the right thing, even when it's hard, even when everyone else is going along with the wrong thing.
What do you think would happen if Aaron had stood up to them? If he had reminded them about God, about the promises?
That's a good question. It's all about responsibility, right? The responsibility of leadership, to guide, to inspire, to stick to your principles, no matter what.
Okay, so we've got patience, focus, and leadership. But what about the golden calf itself?
Ah, yes. It's more than just a statue, isn't it? It's a symbol of false idols, the things we put our faith in that aren't really worthy, the things that promise us happiness but don't actually deliver.
So, like, what are some examples of those today?
Well, think about it. Money, fame, status, power, these are all things that people chase after, but they don't really bring true
Like
happiness.
chasing a mirage.
Exactly. So that's another takeaway. Be careful about what you're prioritizing. Make sure you're not chasing after empty promises.
Don't sacrifice what matters most for something that won't actually make you happy.
Right. And even though the Israelites messed up big time, there's still this message of forgiveness. Moses pleads for them. God shows mercy.
Yeah, that's important. It's like you can make mistakes, but you can still be forgiven.
Exactly. And that's takeaway number 4. Forgiveness and responsibility. Second chances are possible. But we have to own up to our mistakes. And we have to accept the consequences.
It's not about escaping the consequences, but about learning and growing from them.
Right. Just like the Israelites still had that plague to deal with. And that brings us to another important point: justice and mercy.
God was angry, of course, but also showed mercy. It's a difficult balance.
It is holding people accountable while also giving them a chance to change. How do we do that in our own lives? It's a question worth thinking about.
Yeah, it's tough, isn't it? Like, where's the line? Holding people accountable, but also understanding.
It is. It really is. And maybe that's one of the big things we can learn from Exodus 32, that justice doesn't always have to be about punishment.
Right.
Sometimes it's about healing, and giving people a chance to make things right.
Yeah, like people make mistakes, sure. Big ones even.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean they can't change.
Exactly. There's always that potential for redemption, for a new beginning. It's what makes this story, I don't know, so human
So real.
and so relevant, even today.
Okay, so if we were to like sum it all up, this whole golden calf, broken tablets, everything, what's the one thing we should remember from Exodus 32?
I think it's a warning, a cautionary tale
Yeah.
about human nature. We're all tempted. We want shortcuts. Sometimes we forget what really matters.
Yeah, like it's easy to get caught up in the moment.
Exactly. So it's like the story is saying, hey, look around. Are you building your own golden calf? Maybe not literally, but are you compromising what you believe in? Taking the easy way out?
Yeah, what are you putting your faith in? Is it the right thing?
Right. And it's not about feeling bad if you do mess up. It's about recognizing it and trying to do better.
Being aware of the choices we make,
Right.
And how they affect us and other people.
Exactly. And we don't have to figure it all out on our own either. Just like Moses spoke up for the Israelites, we can lean on each other, our friends, family, whoever. They can help us stay on track.
Yeah, we're not alone in this. So to wrap up our deep dive into Exodus 32, what's the question we should all be asking ourselves as we go about our day, our week?
Well, maybe it's, what are my golden calves, the things I'm putting first that maybe shouldn't be? And how can I don't know, make sure my actions match what I really believe in, even when it's hard?
That's a good question, a really good question. And on that note, we'll wrap things up for today. Remember, the journey might be tough, but there's always a way back to what truly matters.
Thanks for listening.